Hi everybody, it is December 7, a week into December already, 2023. Hello Lindy London, Andrew Cruz, Autumn Minnick, and Sherry Hughes. Sherry, thank you so friggin' much. Celestial Wonders, hello. And Donald Beretta and Rick Yorkin and Jane Northrup and Cecilia Amarati. You're dealing with that ad blocker thing, and it kept you from viewing for days. You got to download another browser. It's happening again, and then they let me watch videos without that ad blocker message, and then it starts up again, like they're playing with us. Me. Elizabeth Rivard, hello. Blues de jours. Patricia White, Laura Larson, Cynthia Johnston, Dawn E. Hi. Oh boy. Not a whole lot today. Tenna, hello. So now I know. Hi. If I've missed anybody, I apologize. Brian McCory, Analog Synth Player, hello. Awakened Sleeper, hello. Julio, hello. I went from Chrome to Brave as well, Cecilia, and it worked for a while, and then it's like YouTube caught up. So Brave now. So now I have Epic something. Epic, what is it? It is, can't even see it. Alright, let's do this. Epic every day. Epic Privacy browser. Epic Privacy. Alright, I can watch videos on Epic Privacy. Maybe I shouldn't even be saying what I'm saying on YouTube, because now they know I'm using Epic Privacy. Yeah. So, well, let's go back to Epic and flooding. Washington.
Much better tonight than yesterday, but there still are some areas where there's water over the roadway. In fact, right here, there's still a road closure that's in place. That water flooded homes, businesses, and parks and proved to be more powerful than people here expected. Getting the water out was the first task of what will be a long cleanup for Krista Mason and her family.
The higher the water rose, the more the water started coming into the house.
The floodwaters finally pulled back today.
It looked like an ocean.
But not before doing plenty of damage.
I lost technically two bedrooms downstairs.
This is what it looked like 24 hours earlier as the Stillaguamish River reached record flood levels here in Arlington.
You know, we could see the water through the ring cameras just slowly rising.
Krista's son was stuck in the house for the flood.
He thought really well under pressure. He just quickly started grabbing stuff from the basement, bringing it all up.
I mean, so it went from here down and around. Yeah. Up the road at Taj Grill and Spice, the flood was so powerful it picked up and moved this dumpster 20 feet.
I put the sandbags and it moved everything.
Inside the restaurant,
it was almost like 1.5 or 2 feet.
Owner Rohit Deep Singh says the water fried their appliances.
So we have to replace all fridges, everything. Yeah.
What a shame. The flood also spoiled their food right ahead of what is normally the busiest time of year.
3 years before, water was here, but not like this.
County and state crews spent the day assessing the damage, but for the families affected by this historic flood, today's cleanup is just the beginning.
Isn't it interesting how we're hearing, well, it's flooded here before, but not like this. It's flooded here before, but wow, it came in with such a force. And we're hearing that a lot. Start thinking that maybe it's not climate change, and maybe do just a little bit of research on weather modification and geoengineering. How about it? Nah. All right, let's go here. Take a fun trip down Wall Street Silver's Twitter page. And he wrote, "People born before 1990, what trivial skill do you possess that no one uses anymore?" You can think for yourself. You can also put in the trivial skill that you have that is obsolete in the chat. Write in cursive. Ability to know which bathroom to use. I can use a Cap'n Crunch kazoo to trigger free calls on a payphone. Ability to use this kind of phone. I know how to use a card catalog at a library. I'm a master with paper maps. I know how to develop film in a dark room. Wow. Yeah, not too long ago. It hasn't been too long ago. 3 card in under 3 minutes? I don't know what that... I'm not a card player. Critical thinking. Master of the crank call. I can work a manual typewriter. For anyone unaware, it is a word processor that is not hackable. And I don't know what this is. It's no doubt some musical instrument. I can recite every preposition in the English language, still trying to figure out why the nuns thought that was so necessary. Politely debate a topic from either side. Yeah. Rewinding a cassette tape using a pencil. Under a minute. I still have my home number and that of my grandparents memorized in case of emergency, even though the phones haven't been connected over a decade. How to remove and clean the ball from a mouse? I know how to use a rotary dial phone. Flirting in person. Critical thinking. Ironing clothes. I can read. I can tune a carburetor. Math without a calculator. Wow. My mom can take shorthand. Wow. Now, talk about a skill that is really fabulous but obsolete now. How to drive a manual transmission car. They make manual transmissions, don't they? Still? Handwriting, arithmetic. Thinking for myself. Think and reason. I think he meant gift of gab. Eye contact. Wow. Yeah. Thinking. Calligraphy. Patience. Shorthand. Work ethic. The ability to not get offended by something I The ability to not get offended by something I disagree with. Use a slide ruler. Social skills. I was the fax man at the company in the 80s. I could send a fax faster than anyone. I keep quarters in my car's ashtray. The ability to happily read a book when the internet is down. Oh, sticking to agreed plans with no further communication. How about it? Alrighty. Burning music to CDs. I know how to write a check, sign my name in cursive, and balance a checkbook. Any of you have anything different? Okay, now on to the stuff that has an effect on all of us. The word Satan flashes on screen at the Weeknd concert. Satanic worshippers are not hiding anymore. I don't know where the Weeknd concert is, but here we go.
Screen. Did you see that? Did you see? Bring it back. Bring it back. Look at this. Satan. Pause it. Pause it. Satan. If it look, this is the Weeknd's concert, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I know I may be a little late, but we finally got here. At the Weeknd's concert, he had a flash of the name Satan. Why? Are you still going to tell me it's art? I really got people still to this day in my comments talking about it's art. After we done put out everything and put it right in your face, you're still talking about this is art. Same man with a cross on his necklace and a cross in his video. Holding the cross upside down was not an accident. And then having rage with the cross. The Weeknd, ladies and gentlemen. If it's there, we're going to pull it out. The dark will be lit up. Ephesians 5:11 tells us to expose this wickedness. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Just so you're aware of what you're listening to, just so you're aware of who you're looking up to. People like this who flash Satan at their shows. You think it's an accident why they do these things? You think it's an accident why they put these kind of things in their music videos? No, they're planting seeds subconsciously. You think it's an accident that these people subliminally put things in their music? No, they're planting seeds subconsciously. This is why I tell you it's very important to pay attention to what you look at and what you listen to. Because you can be coming into agreement and signing contracts spiritually and you don't even know it. Next thing you know, you can't sleep, or you got sleep paralysis, or you got anxiety, or you got depression. Because you decided to sign contracts spiritually and didn't even know it. It goes much deeper than what we actually realize. This is why I tell you, be careful and look at what your children watch. People can go outside of your home and bring things back in it. The spiritual realm is real. And it's time to wake up to that truth, especially now while things are getting more and more wicked.
And yes, and you do not have to be religious to get it. You don't have to believe in Satan. You don't have to believe in anything. You can actually look and observe reality and get that something is askew. That's the greatest understatement ever. Yeah, it's happening. They're putting all of these images, and the evil is so out of control now, and you see it every single day. And do we need a force of good? The good soldiers fighting the evil? Absolutely. And here, I just came across this and I'm going to play it. Oh, boy.
A devastating discovery has been made in Canada. The remains of 215 children have been found buried at the site of a former boarding school for Indigenous students. The school in British Columbia was part of a nationwide scheme that took in First Nations children in an effort to assimilate them into Canadian society.
Yeah. Taking children, stealing children. That's what we did. That's what Canadians did in an effort to assimilate them into Canadian society. This was a while back, that news clip, but it's still going on. They're not assimilating children, but boy, are children being stolen, trafficked, abused, horribly, killed.
Investigations have shown there was widespread abuse.
In mid-October of 1964, kissing cousins Elizabeth and Philip paid a royal visit to a Catholic residential school for Aboriginal children in Kamloops, British Columbia, Canada. William Coombs was 12 years old at the time of the royal visit. "I was an inmate at the Kamloops school when we were visited," said Coombs. "I remember it was strange because they came by themselves, no big fanfare or nothing. But I recognized them, and the school principal told us it was the Queen, and we all got given new clothes and good food for the first time in months the day before she arrived."
The day before she arrives, we all got new clothes so that we could be dressed appropriately for the Queen. And we got good food so we could tell the Queen we're being fed good food, as if the Queen cared. So I've been sitting on this video for a while, and I'm gonna play it. I may play it out, I don't know, but wow. Human trafficking worse than you think.
For the first 3 years, I was used as what was called an expendable child. In the Belgian network, there was a group, particularly aristocrats, who killed children. So a few times I was in situations like that, but I just happened to not be killed. So in this network, you have to understand it's a murderous network. Expendable children, that means that they can be killed. That's to say, it was clear that their lives wasn't valued, so those children could be used for anything. That could mean they could be used for torture and killing. So it's very hard to talk about what happened to me during those first 3 years, because it was very extreme. So I was in quite a few extreme situations. I was sometimes taken to bars and given to the men there, but other times I was taken to castles, and then waiting with a handler until until the first group of people had left, and then at the late hour, the younger children were brought in. Sometimes I was taken to somebody's house for the day. My mother would keep me out of school and then just drive me to somebody's house. And then whatever was necessary, I have remembered things about being in extreme situations with, where other children did die. So my mother was being paid for this. What would happen then with an expendable child is the parents get paid. Of course, there's no contract. Nothing is in writing. It's all very vague. My mother's denial itself took care of a lot, but there was money exchanged, and her contact person was this countess. But let's say if I would have been killed and, other children were, then a doctor who was part of the network would have been able to write a death certificate and bring up. So in 1972, I was traded by the boss of the network to an international player, somebody who was in the international network that the boss of the network wanted to do business with, wanted to be in their good favor, because this was someone who had global power. And this person found, apparently had this countess ask my mother who my father was, and also they drew blood. Anyway, they found out that I'm from one of the bloodlines, which is something that in this global network is very important. So this perpetrator then decided that he was going to get me trained, that's to say, mind control trained, which is torture based, and to make me an elite slave, and to even give me a platform on the world stage so I could be an elite slave to the most powerful men in the world. So elite slaves are trained, most of them are trained from a very young age, and they can be people who are actually famous, but are actually being used as slaves, because it's all about the same kind of mafiosi style. I was being trained to spy, and also I was literally trained to make men fall in love with me at age 9. It was about a month long initially, but it was really a year long. The whole training was a year long, and meanwhile I was already being used. I was taken to Germany on weekends and spent it with someone who I realized later was a very big politician in Germany at the time. I mean, I was, not only did he really like me, but I was also spying on him. And I was reporting about his weakness then to who had become my owner, which was this international network. Basically, when I was going to Germany on the weekends with this, being driven there by handlers of the Belgian network and then dropped off in places, picked up by on the side of the road, actually on a quiet road, by this politician, and then I would just simply drive with him. And so because I had been trained, I knew how to not be, not call attention to myself. He would check in, and this was very similar each time. It was always very idyllic, beautiful places on the beautiful rivers in Germany, in some small hotel pension, and there's maybe 3 or 4 rooms, and so he would have the whole hotel to himself, but we would sleep in the same bed. And then, of course, it would be all about pleasing him, and for him, I know that there was a great joy, or maybe pleasure is the right word, in having these people, just fawn all over him and be so grateful and lucky that this very important person is visiting them and is gracing them with his presence. And they would say that, if anything, he would say that I'm his niece. But of course, my German, he actually taught me to speak German, this politician. Better. I didn't really speak it very well. So when we were alone, it was it had a lot to do about, he was also just very happy. He seemed just very happy to be around a little girl that was there for him in this way that I was, just listening. I thought, I thought he was great and he was a really good man. And that was my training, of course, as a slave, is to flatter him to the max so that he would feel really good about himself. And that's how he got to feel good about himself. And so he clearly enjoyed the physical closeness a lot, and the warmth, and what then appeared to be love for him, I think. So this 1 year was very peculiar, that I was actually being groomed then on a big scale. And my owner, if I can say that, obviously this person who wanted to own me as a slave had plans for me, and this was discussed even with other people in the network. So it was decided I was going to be a star in France. Everyone was treating me like a star. That's really all I can say. And I had somebody who was giving me facial about these massages. There was a photographer, nothing creepy about the photographs, even though I was naked. Everybody was just making me into what I was to become, which was a French singer. There was a singing coach there, actually. And I was, again, there was nothing I could do wrong. Everything was positive. So there was no correction. It wasn't really correction. Everything was, it's like kind of how we are taught now to treat our kids, to just focus on the positive. But I never experienced that before. And suddenly there's this voice coach, and, he brings out the best out of my voice, the purity of the voice. And, teaching me to sing certain songs, again through repetition, certain French songs, Edith Piaf, Jacques Brel. And I was singing these songs and it was easy. The French came back very easily. Eventually I was going to be inducted into the cult. And so being inducted into the cult eventually was sort of my graduation, I guess, or it was to be the beginning of my new life, let's say. And there's been a lot of talk during that year about what my life was going to be, how comfortable, the most beautiful apartments in Paris, the best house on the Côte d'Azur, the yacht, the respect, the platform. Everybody would think I was the best singer, actress in the world, and I would get all the magazine out. It was all prepared, and it was just that what I had to do to belong eventually was just too much. I rebelled and was kicked out. Basically, I was reprogrammed, and I was extremely humiliated and punished, and this was reprogramming to make sure I would never become successful. After I was put back in the Belgian network, Belgians never really discovering what had actually happened to me, used me for their VIPs then. But a young gangster came into the network, and he had power in the Belgian network because he wasn't afraid to use a gun. But eventually, a year later, he ended up rescuing me. So now it's back to my mother driving me to the network. And once this gangster showed up, things changed a little bit because he would keep me longer and so forth than usual. And so also groomed me for 6 months, in fact, and started by protecting me and then ended up abusing me worse than anybody else. Such violence and then, that would have resulted in my being murdered. And then he had a change of heart. And then he made a deal with the boss of the network to get me out. The physical circumstances of this gangster's name is Patrick Hamers. And the politician who was in charge of the network is Paul van den Boeynants, who had a long career in politics in Belgium. And the gangster had also quite a fascinating career in crime. And the deal in 1974 that was made when this gangster was 22 years old, I think, or 23, was that he was going to work for the politician to get me out. He was going to become his whatever left-hand man. And what he did at age 11 is he gave me instructions for life. And they were extremely detailed. He told me never to to never sleep with anyone for anything, never do it. That I should not become a drug addict, that I should never buy. He told me I should not become an alcoholic. I could have a little wine here and there, but I should never drink too much. No hard liquor, once a week for hard liquor or some crazy rule like that. He told me that I should leave the country, that I should leave Belgium, that I have to go to Paris, London, New York. I have to settle in New York, and I should marry someone who is not an older man who made his own fortune, but someone my age who is from a wealthy family, preferably a family of New York bankers. This all came out of his mouth as he was basically driving me home the last time. And of course, it included to never speak about the network, never say anything to anyone, just never do it. And these life instructions, they settled very deeply inside myself because he had done this one good act in his life. He had done this thing that was selfless for me. And it was in very dramatic circumstances. And these directions became sort of my guidelines for life. That really got me through, that really helped me. He also gave me some to deal with my mother in the coming weeks, in the weeks that would follow, because he knew she would be angry that she couldn't take me to the network anymore. And he told me to try to leave that house as soon as I could. So once I was rescued from the network, I really was never trafficked again. I followed those guidelines that had been given to me very, very closely. So at age 16, I actually ended up in the red light district in Antwerp. And because of this direction, I never slept with anyone. I was able to reach high functioning levels again, and not just function well in society, but have more empathy and love for people and really heal as a human being and as a soul. And I think it's important to look and uncover this darkness, however hard that is for each person, before we can actually create that change. And I think ultimately we are the ones that need to change.
Ultimately, we are the ones that need to change. Yes. But as time goes on, I really think that we are living in hell. I think this is hell. And I think you need to learn all of the lessons that you need to learn and do that change to get out of hell. Otherwise, we may be reincarnated back into hell. This life is looking more and more like hell. Wow. So, I'm just going to play a few minutes of this Synergy video. Again, I will drop her Odyssey link in the chat. And yeah, I think an awful lot of people are being controlled by an external that becomes internal force. You know, what's his name? Yuval Harari said, that we would no longer have free will. We didn't do any good with the collective free will anyway. The hackable animals, hackable humans, and take that very seriously. Hope you know who you are so that you have the self-awareness to understand that you might be hacked.
2015, Medical Body Area Network, wearable or implantable system of sensors that record physiological data. They transmit EEG, cochlear implants, transmit sounds. There are sensors to ID you, find your GPS, monitor blood pressure, glucose, and heart rate. Yup. BLE. Yup. On the BitChute. Wow. Big surprise. Wow, that looks familiar. It's in the Synergy Tech Measure PDF. M-band sensors will reach close to 5 million by 2018. Remember, whatever this is, they claim it's from 2015 or their research. According to an analysis from ABI Research, Fierce Mobile Healthcare M-bands, medical body area networks, are being used for pain systems covertly implanted while you are sleeping. Lady who founded the Women Who Piley Club, or the People Who Piley Club. You're starting to see how this is well known. Watch what is about to be shown next, lady. You know what the problem is, folks? Everybody thinks it only happens to them, myself included. I'm like, man, this is some crazy shit. It's only happening in my nightmares. Nope. I have 20 emails with pictures like this. Former government contractors. Are you followed by people who point phones at you? The father and son I just met with, showing me video. They took video of it. The yacht pot up in Ohio. I watched it. 3 different dudes in a grocery store. I was like, what the hell? The lady I talked to earlier, she was embarrassed, and she's like, but Sabrina, this is so crazy. And I said, honey, it's a job. I've shown this before. Signature Reduction Force. Exclusive. Let's go to Newsweek, back in 2021.
Yeah. Never Lose Truth. That got taken down. I had posted on that exact article about the cyber army. We have people, you gotta understand the cyber world. Not like I fully understand it, but wow, there are so many bad actors in the cyber world, and they're causing an awful lot of chaos and disruption and anger, depression. But I'm so glad that she got that article and she reads some of it, so here we go.
Inside the military's secret undercover army, the largest undercover force the world has ever known is the one created by the Pentagon over the past decade. 60,000 people now belong to this secret army, many working under masked identities and a low profile, all part of a broad program called Signature Reduction. And I said, the Finders Cult, guys in the white vans, that gave them jobs. The newest and fastest growing group is the clandestine army that never leaves their keyboards, cutting edge cyber fighters. Yeah, gang stalking. Paid gang stalking. And everybody said, no. New York Post, 2021. Pentagon reportedly running a secret global army. Hang on, let me find something other than 2021. Signature Reduction meaning, Signature Management Military, Signatures Department, 2022, still the same 2021, Digital Signature Management. So, Signature Reduction Force jobs. Signature Reduction Technician, Signature Reduction Officer, SME Signature Reduction, expat jobs, images, not helpful. This is who they are, it's what they do. Join our team at Core One. Our mission is to be at the forefront of devising analytical, operational, and technical solutions to our nation's most complex security challenges. Expertise with SR OPSEC program to conduct assessments. Must hold an active secret clearance, minimum 10 years of experience. Wow, I wonder what they're doing. They're game stalking. That's their job, as you are about to see. The next picture shows an implantable wireless body area network. Yeah, since the 60s. The implants are stimulated by an ultrasonic modulation system to cause pain. And as I've explained to people with nanotech, they don't need this. Not anymore. This is the 1950s and 60s and 70s tech that was done by 72 and 76. Ubiquitous health, yep. Using the air molecules all around you to do whatever they want to. Optogenetics since 2005. Biosensors 2005. Commercially 2005. The next picture shows that the transmitting equipment that may transmit the directed energy, ultrasonic modulation, wakes up the implants, stimulating pain in adjacent nerves. And on the terahertz metamaterial video, I said, this has wake up radio metamaterials. Ultrasound-based work, wake up radio. Software-defined metamaterials to nanonodes, terahertz localization and communication. Localization of the nanomodes, the smart modes Georgiana talks about, wake up radio and location-based addressing, wake up radio and location-based routing, and when I read it, I explained that the nano is not using a tower. You need to read how it works. It uses your bloodstream, your heartbeat, and it can pull radio frequency like you see here, like we've been learning with phase fast array and beamforming, but it doesn't have to. Ultrasound long range and focus with your little terahertz waves that are in between long and short range. Directional wake-up radio signals. So when you see ultrasonic modulation wakes up the implants, that is correct. Where? ResearchGate. These are jobs to make your body do what they want. Bioelectronics, wireless drugging, application support, targeted drug delivery, energy harvesting to be localized.
All right, so I'm going to put the link in the chat to this video, which you can listen to the what's going on. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. What's going on? Are you seeing something that's going on that I'm not seeing? I'm also going to post a link to part 2 of Synergy's video. Don't know what's going on? Excellent connection. Okay. Whatever. Whatever. So let me just go on. So, yeah. Alright, well, just as a reminder.
Your mRNA bill in food is a critical thing. But I want to alert you to the fact that it's not just food. The title of this presentation by
You know, that new product that is a Fauci ouchie? Maybe I shouldn't have said that. I'll get a community guideline strike. Holy, wow, man. Whatever. I'll try on Rumble. But, food. Mosquitoes.
by the good Professor H, is production of a transgenic mosquito as a flying syringe to deliver protective vaccine via saliva. The Gates Foundation's been funding all sorts of genetic engineering of mosquitoes, and there's a lot of talk about using mosquitoes and mosquito bite to help vaccinate certain populations. I don't have proof that that's viable yet, but I know they're working on it. Okay, so I'm not suggesting that the mosquitoes that Bill Gates is working with to engineer down in Florida are injecting anyone with anything. What I am suggesting is that I have absolutely indisputable evidence that they are working to make sure that they can inject you with something.
Great. Okay. All right. Can I say I have been posting on this migrant issue from the Obama years, Trump years, and here we are. And I have never seen it quite like it is now. If Americans can't do something, if they can't see what's happening at the border, well, even if they do see it, they won't do anything about it. We're in trouble. Let me just say that. And that trouble is coming real fast to an awful lot. Arizona, this large group rushed through a fresh cut in the wall, the majority of them single adult men from Africa. The families who crossed illegally with them tell me they are from Mexico. 10,200 plus people were encountered by Border Patrol agents on Tuesday. Thousands are crossing into the Tucson sector every day. Most are coming through Lupeville. And I have reached out to Governor Hobbs. This is Allie Bradley, a mainstream media reporter who is stationed at the border now. I've reached out to Governor Hobbs to see if she was considering declaring a state of emergency or deploying the National Guard to assist. I have not heard back. I don't think you will be hearing back from Governor Hobbs.
Where are you from?
Yeah, how are you?
Hi.
How are you?
Where are you from?
I'm from Guinea.
Guinea. Okay.
Guinea.
Where are you from? Hi.
Thank you.
Where are you from? Guinea?
It goes on for 6 minutes. Do you see? Look in the back. Look in the back where the hand is pointing.
¿De dónde eres? Ecuador.
Another day. Another day at the border in Arizona. It is truly, yeah, all military-aged men. You have a few women, you have a few kids, but the majority, the huge majority, are men. And here, again, sources confirm there are more than 21,000 people in Border Patrol custody. Just this afternoon, more than 3,000 crossed into Tucson illegally yesterday. Most of them are coming through cuts in the wall. They're hoping to go to different states: Missouri, Minnesota, California, Virginia, Tennessee, Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, and Washington, D.C. And here, oh God, video from Border Patrol San Diego shows 75 people being smuggled over the border wall in the San Diego sector. San Diego sector is also where we have more than 9,700 Chinese nationals encountered by Border Patrol since fiscal year began October 1st. Wow. No problem. Listen to your government officials like Mayorkas. The border is secure. Okay? You got it? Should I repeat it so that the repetition will get it cemented in your head? The border is secure. Mayor Adams, New York City.
New York is headed to Washington, D.C. This is my 10th trip to meet with governmental officials, congressional leaders, and just really send a strong message. We need help. And clear New Yorkers are angry. I'm angry. I know that we should not be using our tax dollars on a national problem, and I'm going to continue to voice my concerns on what's happening to the city that I love, the city that you love. I'll keep you updated. New York.
Well, while you were campaigning, you were rah-rah sanctuary city. And you know what? Maybe you should have had some foresight. You can't tell me that these mayors, local, state government officials didn't know what was going to be coming. Maybe one or two of them didn't know. But look at this. Crossed over east of the Lukeville port of entry, where the border wall was cut a mile from it. Two guys in a work truck told me I couldn't be here right before they came through, so I turned around. Then I came back and I saw this.
Massive. They let them through. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
America! America!
Massive. They let them through. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
America! America!
At this point, if anybody is sitting back doing nothing, you are absolutely complicit with the takedown of this country and your own demise. And Instagram is actively shadow banning pro-Palestinian content.
It's all the way at the back, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, go.
But I can only see two.
Two? Okay, wait, go to my account now.
And then once I go to your account, and then I can see everything. Go watch once I like get out of it.
Uh-huh.
And then like I go back to just like regular stories.
Yeah.
It goes back to just two.
Wow.
And then I have to go to your account specifically. But I never saw these yesterday. I never saw all of these. I only saw these two.
I was wondering why I wasn't getting a lot of... It's all the way at the back.
The shadow banning has become very, very intense. And look at this. Oh, man. All right. Jewish woman kicked out of cafe after complaining about anti-Semitic graffiti scrawled all over bathroom, getting berated by workers. Let me tell you, I saw the graffiti, which you'll see in the end, and it is not anti-Semitic.
Israel loves taking private property and saying it's their own, but we gotta head.
You're not going to let me
You're
go
also
into the
misgendering
restroom?
them, so I need you to leave.
We have another
No, I
restroom.
want to use this one.
They're not letting you. All you have to get is a video
Other
of it saying
patron-
that Zionism is
Why are you afraid? If you agree with it, why are you afraid that I will take a picture of it? Why are you
please.
afraid?
I'm not afraid of it.
Then why are you
My
not letting
problem
me
is
in?
because this is what you're
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
History didn't start in 1948, lady.
Free Palestine. Now,
Free Palestine. It's always.
Please leave. Thank you.
It's always. Yeah, great. We love it.
am so thoroughly sick of anyone who equates Zionism with Judaism, and anybody who says something about ceasefire or free Palestine, that's anti-Semitic. It's not, and these people need to be shut down. Workers for a free Palestine. British public shut down 4 factories today supplying arms to Israel. Good. Good, good, good. I'll put the link in the chat. And, yeah, I wish we could just do away with our military-industrial complex, but hey, got kill? That's what they're about. So, FBI director says terror threats elevated to all-time high since Hamas attacks. And I was very happy to listen to the Cyber Threat Intelligence League and the impending false flag, which is on the Last American Vagabonds channel with Whitney Webb, and they talk about FBI director. Yeah. So let's listen to them so I can just shut up. Rest my voice.
We're going to start right out of the gate today. I've got a few different things I wanted to get into in the latter half of the show regarding Israel and some alarming developments in regard to flooding, tunnels, and some hostage overlap, and some things that I think would really interesting to get your takes on. You know, it's maybe even just a female perspective. But let's start today with the discussion of the CTI League itself, the Cyber Threat Intelligence League, and something we've talked about in the past, our 2020 coverage, different things you've worked on for a long time, and how this, in my eyes, seems to tie very right now the discussion of how Iran plays in with what's going on to Gaza, if that's even something that's other than just supporting them ideologically or just because their plight, whether that's something that's really happening is debatable. But that all of a sudden we see all these allegations, you know, Iran, this is building, the threat's coming. They're seeing alarm signals everywhere. I can play that clip for you. Sort of like the clip that I wasn't able to find today of that one we played before. We see it building and we just don't know how to stop it. It's like the next evolution.
Yeah, Christopher Wray just a few days ago had a moment just like that, where he was basically saying the same thing. Yeah,
that's the same one. Let me grab it real quick and I'll play that, because it's really interesting how, you know, it's kind of the same, the recycling of the same things, you know, over.
Totally.
I had it downloaded. So go ahead, really grab that real quick and give them the background to what Christopher Wray was saying, and I'll grab that real quick.
Well, I can't remember exactly, but to paraphrase, it was something like all our indicators for terrorism, whatever, are all going off at the same time, and it's never been like this, you know, something like that.
Right, exactly. Well, it's just exactly the same thing as before, like the hype.
Yeah, and the thing before that you're talking about is this now ex, but at the time, DHS lady Elizabeth Newman, who was foreshadowing what would later become January 6th, saying, oh, these anti-Semitic Trump supporters, we see them building up something and we know it's coming, just like another 9/11, and we can't quite stop it, meaning we're going to allow it to happen or create it. Which is the same model that happened with like 9/11 and more recently October 7th with Israel.
And what's even more interesting is how currently, and it's not always all or nothing, but the largest block out of the left-right paradigm that seems to be supporting Israel blindly is that same group. So it's like they're the most anti-Semitic group. It's this. It just shows you the illusion around it all. And here is the clip that Christopher Wray saying this.
So what I would say that is unique about the environment that we're in right now in my career is that while there may have been times over the years where individual threats could have been higher here or there than where they might be right now, I've never seen a time where all the threats, or so many of the threats, are all elevated, all at exactly the same time. That's what makes this environment that we're in now so fraught, and why funding our men and women who are working shoulder to shoulder with state and local law enforcement and other partners every day makes it even more important, not less.
So, blinking red lights analogy about 9/11, all the lights were blinking red before 9/11.
They literally say it.
Obviously, all of us missed it.
Right.
Would you
Yeah.
say that there's multiple blinking red lights out there?
I see blinking lights everywhere I turn.
It's like the destruction clock. We're now at 5 to midnight. It's just like this ridiculous analogy that doesn't really have any meaning. It's so strange. Go ahead. You have some
So the
thoughts on it?
U.S., Ryan, you and I have talked about for a long time now how the U.S. is very clearly due for 9/11 2.0. And that based on your and my research over the past several years, the 9/11 2.0 is going to be a mix of the war on domestic terror agenda plus all this cyber stuff. Because it doesn't have to be like, buildings being controlled demolitioned on live TV with people in them.
Right.
This
Well, so you
time.
mean-
It doesn't mean it's going to be the same attack, but the same scale. They know it's going to happen before it happens. I mean, I don't know. That foreshadowing is crazy because he says, Christopher Wray says it, and then whatever senator or congressman is
Lindsey Graham.
asking him is literally just like, just setting it up to be like, so you're saying another 9/11 equivalent is coming.
Yeah.
And he's like, everywhere I turn, that's what I see. I mean, it's just like, it couldn't be more in your face.
Would you not argue that COVID-19 could have been that role itself? Like the next 9/11 2.0
Well,
kind of
yeah.
scenario?
So yes, but COVID-19 was a global thing, right? So I mean, you have a lot of different things that the global elite want to accomplish, but when we're talking just about the U.S. specifically, the U.S. needs some sort of specific thing that pushes it into the next phase.
Right.
And there's a deliberate effort on the part of, neoconservatives and also Israel to get the U.S. to preemptively strike Iran. And that's been literally Mossad's main objective for the last 20 years. They have openly admitted it. And you have ex-Mossad director Meir Dagan being like, yes, that's what we do. And there's quotes from mainstream media, Israeli sources saying that Mossad's had almost unlimited funds to make that happen. Okay, so what we have with the current conflict, there's been lots of talk since it started about this turning into a regional war. And Israel's already said it's going to be a long war. They're not going to change what they're doing at all, despite warnings from groups in Lebanon like Hezbollah and from Iran also, that will inevitably lead to a regional war. So they want the regional war. How do they expand the regional war? How do they bring in or force Iran to come in? They want the U.S. involved. And the U.S. has already sent airship carriers and whatnot. And you have the fact that the State Department right now is run by a man who was raised by Robert Maxwell's lawyer and confidant and best friend, who was also very tied up with Israel. So, I mean, come on. What do you think's going to happen?
Yeah,
we have to get involved in some way. So Iran's going to be blamed to some extent for whatever Cyber 9/11 is, but probably working with Group X in the U.S. to push through some more on domestic terror narrative. But the thing that we've talked about before in relation to all this, cyber whatever, is that, in the event that there's a major cyber component to this coming 9/11 equivalent, they can blame literally whoever they want. They can blame whoever they want. Any nation state, any group, they can make up a group and say this group is X, Y, and Z. They can say this group took Monero or took Bitcoin, so we should criminalize Monero and Bitcoin, or financial privacy should be ended. And all sorts of agendas they can fold into it because they can literally craft whatever narrative they want when it's a cyber attack. And
when you have so many people who don't care that people lie continuously, or they accept all of the lies, there's, I'm sure, people who actually believe what they hear from mainstream media and government officials. There's no way out. They can say anything. Anything. A cyber attack? They could blame it on Santa Claus. And Americans would go, oh, wow. I didn't know that Santa Claus had that power, but I guess Santa Claus does. Oh, I better be good. I better not pout. I better just shut up and just go along to get along. Yeah! I'll put the link in. Very good discussion here. with both Ryan and Whitney. So, yeah, get ready because, ooh, it's not going to be fun, all right? I hope you're ready. I sure hope you're ready. When you look at what's coming in through the border, when you look at the numbers coming through the border, military-aged men, and then everything else, it's all connected. It's all connected. The link in the chat. A very good discussion here. Where am I? Here. Abby Martin.
But speaking of the ceasefire,
and I'm starting, at well, this was a live, so it's I can't figure out the time, but if anyone, as far as I'm concerned, if you should listen to anyone about what's going on in the Gaza Strip and West Bank, and it's Abby Martin.
I did want to get you to weigh in on this debate that's going on about who's responsible. Before the ceasefire ended, Israel was already signaling that they were going to keep the siege going harder, faster, stronger than it was even before the ceasefire. They claim that it's Hamas rocket attacks that justify the non-continuation of the ceasefire. Others have argued that the arrest of more Palestinians from the West Bank than were released in the hostage exchange constitutes a violation of the ceasefire, and that the shooting by IDF soldiers of a number of Palestinians, and I believe Jerusalem, also is evidence of Israel violating the ceasefire. What do you make of this argument? And perhaps doesn't matter.
Yes, it does matter who broke the ceasefire, and Israel clearly broke the ceasefire in several instances. You can look just at the Gaza Strip, where Israeli soldiers were perched up sniping people who were attempting to return to their homes, simply to do things like retrieve the dead. My friend in Gaza was in the north. He could not physically leave, even though we're told all the time this false narrative, just flee. Well, if you don't want to die, just flee. And they're dropping leaflets saying if you stay, then you're just basically could be collateral damage and deemed the same as a terrorist if you stay in the north. A lot of people are disabled. A lot of people are elderly. They'd rather have the pride of staying put than wandering aimlessly with shelling happening all around them with no shelter to go to. So friends of mine who are there, who either parents or people who were maybe physically impaired could not leave the north, they could not go back to see who had died, if they could retrieve the bodies of the people that they know had died, if they could maybe dig through the rubble of their homes to retrieve whatever belongings they had left. They were so terrified of leaving because of Israeli snipers shooting dead civilians who were attempting to wander past that point. That is a violation of the ceasefire, no doubt. And then you move to the occupied West Bank, and it shows you just the complete disproportionate nature of what we're told are two sides, right? This war between Hamas and Israel. It's an occupying force that has its boot on the neck of millions of people. And we're told that it's somehow an equal fight, right? Well, in the occupied West Bank, where 3 million Palestinians live under a complete fascist military dictatorship, there were hundreds of Palestinians that were rounded up and detained. There were several Palestinians that were shot dead because one of them was alleged to be celebrating, right? All of a sudden, there was this arbitrary rule that was just completely new that just said, if you celebrate the return of any of these prisoners, that's incitement to terrorism and you could be killed for it. So that's what we saw happen. And these people were doing nothing at all. Several teenage boys that were shot dead for simply just standing, waiting for the prisoners to be released. And this goes back to just my experience in the West Bank, seeing the cruel, barbaric nature and the humiliating nature of occupation, where we just simply attended a funeral of a farmer tending to his olive crop who didn't turn around quickly enough to an Israeli soldier yelling at him. He was killed. We went to his funeral at his home. And when we were leaving, Israeli soldiers had set up a makeshift checkpoint right out front, and they shot the funeral goers with rubber bullets and tear gas. And it just shows you how cruel this can be. That is a violation of the ceasefire, 100%. I mean, the fact that several Palestinians were killed and hundreds more rounded up. And the fact is, Israel can do whatever they want with impunity because they have the total control over the situation. But Bree, if you look at the Western media, they always act like Palestinians are the ones who violate the ceasefire. And so Israel has no choice but to respond in a completely disproportionate fashion. And they just take cues from the Israeli propaganda machine. And they just are in tow with whatever they say. And we see this happen every single time.
And that's quite true. Did I put the link in? I'm going to put the link in again. I hope that, well, if you don't want to listen, you at least click on the link and circulate. Circulate the information. That's the least we can do, right? Right.
Arwa Damon is a founder of INARA, an international network for aid, relief and assistance. She joins us now live from Istanbul. Good to have you with us. So first of all, Arwa, take us through the broad range of threat to life facing Gazan children right now, from airstrikes on their homes to dangerous treks across the Gaza Strip from place to place.
Well, you have what you mentioned right there, and of course what was just highlighted in that report. There's the physical danger coming from the bombs, the gunshots to children, but then there's also the very real fact that illnesses that normally would not kill children are at risk of doing so under the conditions that children are now being forced to live in Gaza, in these overcrowded, unsanitary shelters. Something like a kid having diarrhea, normally that's not deadly, but it can be if that diarrhea is not properly treated and if that child ends up being dehydrated. Plus, and anyone with a kid can probably relate to this, you know, a kid with diarrhea has accidents. You need to be able to clean off that child. You need to be able to have a clean diaper to put them in. That obviously doesn't exist in Gaza. You have skin diseases like scabies and lice that are just spreading. You have acute pulmonary infections like the common cold, of course not deadly, but it can become deadly. You have cases of pneumonia and bronchitis that are rising. You have, for example, the growing risk of hypothermia. What happens when children are as malnourished as the children in Gaza are now today, given that the vast majority of families barely subside on one meal a day, is that hypothermia can begin to set in at much warmer temperatures. And then, of course, on top of all of this, you have the various different mental traumas that are happening to children on a more than daily basis.
So from the rate of killing children, which is now in 2 months greater than 2 years of conflict in Ukraine, to the wide range of things you just mentioned, hypothermia, diarrhea, you've got to ask, has this killing rate of children, does it have any parallel that you've seen?
No, and look, I was a correspondent with CNN for 20 years. I've been covering war for 20 years. I have not seen this. I have not even seen anything that is comparable to this. It's not just about the intensity of the bombardment in such a small space. It's also about the fact that I've never been to a war zone where families, once they manage to survive the bombardment, are somehow unable to flee the actual danger zone. I've never been to a space where humanitarian aid is ready. It's ready to move in. It's ready to be deployed. The supplies are there, but there is absolutely no way to access the civilian population that is so desperately in need. This is unprecedented. It's not even just, myself. Journalists and aid workers who have been in this space for well over my own 20 years have also said that they've never seen anything quite like this. And there's no formula for how to deal with this.
Well, in addition...
Wow. I just want to point out, I've read a comment, I bet she's never been to the Middle East. They don't care what women have to say. That's a Western indoctrinated brain. And if you're talking about Abby Martin, because I have to guess. If you're talking about Abby Martin, before you presume things about people, do some research, because you're flat out wrong. She's been to the Middle East a lot, a whole lot, but maybe you were talking about somebody else. But yes, not every human being in the Middle East thinks exactly the same, and there are women in powerful positions, and they have a voice, and people listen to them, and people respect them. Wow. Now, I'm going to get to that at the end, but I just want you to see this. It's amazing. All right. Israel received 10,000 tons of U.S. military equipment since start of Gaza war. We are right smack in there, guys. This isn't just the IDF. This is the good old U.S. of A. The killing machine. The evil empire. That's what we are. And U.S. risks being dragged into third war? What? What's going on? Venezuela and Guyana? Okay. Maduro arrests opposition figures as oil-rich Guyana readies for invasion. Venezuela wants to invade the oil-rich Escobedo in a last-minute ploy to ensure his chances of maintaining the presidency against wildly falling popularity, to invade Escobedo in Guyana. I hope I'm pronouncing some of what I'm saying correctly. U.S. holds military exercises in Guyana as border tensions soar. In collaboration with Guyana's Defense Force, the U.S. Southern Command will conduct flight operations within Guyana on December 7. A border feud has recently spiraled over the oil-rich Escobedo region, controlled by Guyana for more than a century, but which Venezuela also claims and has voiced intent to take over. Well, if you're going to be taking over something, you want the U.S. on your... Oh, wait. No. Wait. Where are we? Oh, wait. Exxon's there. Oh, okay. Venezuela, you're going to have to fight United States. Long-running dispute over Escobedo Essequibo. Oh man, I am too tired. I really would love to be able to just get myself back. The long-running dispute over Essequibo, which comprises some 2/3 of Guiana's territory, has intensified since ExxonMobil discovered oil there in 2015. So let's go. Yeah, another war. U.S. vows unwavering support. Unwavering support should an invasion from Venezuela take place. And Brazil is deploying troops to the border. Okie dokie. Why don't we just have wars on every continent and just take over all countries at this point? Just take them over. Have everybody running to the southern border to come into the United States. Yeah. Are you sick of it? I'm sick of it. I'm very, very sick of it. So I'm just going to go to my Twitter page because I didn't I'm losing my mojo. Haha. If I have any left. But boy, oh boy, man. Got a lot going on. Yeah. The New Zealand whistleblowers versus the New Zealand government.
We will share with you the most up-to-date information daily.
56-year-old Barry Young is charged with dishonestly accessing the Health Ministry's database.
Senior staff member who's had access to information grossly breached our trust.
You can trust us as a source of that information. You can also trust the Director General of Health and the Ministry of Health.
Health New Zealand, frankly, did a very good job over the weekend. They put an injunction in place and had data taken down.
For that information, do feel free to visit at any time to clarify any rumour you may hear.
These are real numbers. This is government data.
Dismiss anything else. We will continue to be your single source of truth. We will provide information frequently.
Nobody but me in New Zealand has seen this data. Now I'm giving it to the world.
It's been stopped with a good injunction, and importantly, the police are now involved. Arrested someone late last night.
He potentially faces 7 years in prison for allegedly taking vaccine data.
We will share everything we can. We will continue to be your single source of truth.
How could anybody listen to that? We will be your single source of truth. And what did New Zealanders do? So they bought that and they only listen to government officials when they want the truth? Okay. Listen to this. Oh boy.
I mean, we've been very, very clear about the supplemental and how important it is. As you've seen, the OMB director has been pretty out there on the different networks making the case. And one of the things that she has said is that it's stunning. It's stunning that we've gotten to this point, right? It's stunning that we have gotten to this point, and that Republicans in Congress willing to give Putin a gift, the greatest gift that Putin could hope for. That's what we're seeing. And so they are playing chicken with our national security. That's what we're seeing here. And history will remember them harshly. I mean, we've been very, very clear about...
So the Republicans have nixed the 106 billion to Israel and Ukraine and Taiwan. And now they're saying that, well, I played yesterday Biden, who said that this is going to give, I guess, and I'm using my words, carte blanche to Russia to invade NATO countries. Really? And we're going to see American troops fighting Russian troops because we're not going to give billions more to Ukraine. But I think eventually they'll get it. Israeli settlers break into a Palestinian home and refuse to leave. Now, is there anybody policing the crimes in the West Bank? No. The IDF allow them to just go ahead, steal everything, steal the homes, beat up Palestinians, kill Palestinians. A whole lot of them are American.
ليش مصدورك تيجي اطلع برا اطلع برا جيب الجيش انت جيب الجيش تعال شوفها انت اسكت يلا اطلع برا يلا اطلع برا هذا كفار انا بدور طلعين على ابوه ما تدخلش يا بدور على مفرك مش مسؤول لك مش مسؤول لك قاعد نايم وبتنسى مسؤول لك تخش ثاني خليه يفتش يا ماما طحين حرقش تيجي معي انقلب برا انقلب مالك خبرت ولادي
Yeah, Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East, right? Ew, the strong democracy. Doesn't look very democratic to me. Oh. This I wrote. I can't believe the evil that we see on a daily basis, and most people are just living their lives without care. Children. Bad enough for adults to experience this, but children? My God. We have manifested hell on earth. Good job, peeps. Good job. Good job. Fabulous. Wow, man.
Everyone does realize that the government and these parasitic elites are actively trying to keep us divided, especially over the past 3 or 4 years, so they can easily manipulate and conquer us, right? Everyone does realize that they're using the people to keep us fighting each other and use all these different brainwashing and manipulation tactics, these psyops, to make sure the population never bands together and actually revolts, because if we all had a common goal to have a revolution, the world would change. But yet you are still fighting each other and not realizing that we all have the same enemy. Everyone does realize that
And I don't think it's going to change. And writing messages on these missiles, this is not the first that I've seen this, but Chief Rabbi inscribes a message of hate onto an artillery shell to be fired into Gaza's densely populated neighborhoods. Quote, for the uplifting of Israel's might and the revenge of his servants' spilled blood, in prayer for the success of the protectors of our holy land. These are not protectors. A nation of murderers. Well, it's not a nation of murderers. But, yeah. Got to do a little digging on the Zionists to find out that the evil that they manifest, we're seeing it on a daily basis. Not Jews, not Israelis. But there are Israelis, there are Jews that are absolutely fine with what's going on. And there's an awful lot who are not fine at all. Gee, it reminds me of every other population in other countries. Same. But my God, how do you do this? How do you do this? How do you do this? Smiling. Yeah. Killing children. Whew. I don't get us. I just don't get us. Dr. Meryl Nass breaks down the globalist agenda to seize absolute dictatorial control over not only global health, but also agriculture, food, energy, and financial transactions. And we've got evil going on all over the place, and it's all connected to that happy new world order that we're all going to own nothing, but we will be happy.
Agencies or something like that. It is a sovereignty issue. So the WHO wants the right to tell us what drugs we can and can't have and how we are to manage health emergencies in the future. But by also creating this thing they call the One Health approach, which enables everything else to be wrapped up into health, it seems that the sovereignty grab is going to be greater than just health. Right? If you say climate change, health is related to climate, so now we can call climate emergencies or something like that. It seems that it is a power grab, a financial grab, because the WHO will need to be funded much, we don't know how much more, but it's going to be very expensive. The architecture for this whole, what is called international pandemic preparedness, it's also called the biosecurity agenda, has a few other names, but the architecture has been being built for the last 5 to 10 years, both in the US and overseas, particularly in Europe. So this is nothing new. The things that are in the treaty and in the international health regulation, amendments that you would think wouldn't be put into place until after these documents have been voted on and passed, they're already being put into place, right? I tend to look at it myself, and this is my opinion, as one puzzle piece in a larger puzzle where there will be control of agriculture, food, energy, and other things as globalists try to cement control of critical industries. And they're already talking in documents of the World Bank, the G20, the EU. They're talking about global governance. So I think that's where they hope this is going. Obviously, our Constitution doesn't go along with that, and nor does the Constitution of many other countries. So,
oh boy, but does it matter? And what Constitution do we have? What Constitution? Okay. Nobody adheres to the Constitution. No one. Republican, Democrat. As presidents. Trump violated it. Bush violated it. So the Constitution doesn't matter. This is going through. And guess what? We, USA, the evil empire, is driving this World Health Organization pandemic treaty. You can thank us. You can thank us. God, I can't even go there. Armed Israeli settlers set dogs on Palestinian shepherds. That's from 2020. Ethnic cleansing and genocide.
Do you remember this video? Yes, exactly. The letters from the sky. The Israeli army dropped again new people posts telling people that they have to evacuate to Rafah this time.
Israeli forces are dropping flyers in southern Gaza, telling people to evacuate areas in the south which were previously considered safe.
I mean, the post is clear. Not to move to the west of Khan Yunis, not to move to other place in the south, moving to Rafah. Rafah is the extreme south and it's the borders with Sinai Desert in Egypt. So again, this is very urgent. We're talking to you seriously. If this is not a plan to empty Gaza, then what is it? What? People have been told to evacuate each city going to the south every time. More and more. Where are we going to go now? Rafah. And is Rafah enough for 2.25 million people? Is it prepared with food, water, hygiene, places, warmth and everything? The answer is definitely no. then what are we going to do there? What's gonna happen for all these people?
Okay, well, in the end, they will only be allowed to go so far. Jesus is coming. Amen. Wow. Jesus sure is letting an awful lot of kids be slaughtered. When is Jesus going to put a stop to this?
As we speak, some 1.9 million out of the 2.2 million Palestinians have been displaced and are being pushed into ever diminishing and extremely overcrowded places in southern Gaza in unsanitary and unhealthy conditions. The catastrophic situation we see unfolding in the Gaza Strip was entirely foreseeable and preventable. My humanitarian colleagues have described the situation as apocalyptic. In these circumstances, there is a heightened risk of atrocity crimes. As the catastrophic consequences for civilians in Gaza mount, I want to again express my grave concern regarding dehumanizing and insightful statements made by current and former high-level Israeli officials as well as Hamas figures. History has shown us where this kind of language can lead. As an immediate step, I call for an urgent cessation of hostilities and the release of all hostages. All parties are aware of what is really needed to achieve peace and security for Palestinians and Israelis. Violence and vengeance can only result in more hatred and radicalization. The only way to end the accumulative sufferings is ending
the occupation. Ending the occupation. And wow, this is quite the shot, quite the picture. Israeli invaders have stripped these men and taken them to a military base for interrogation and likely torture after kidnapping them from a United Nations school in Gaza's Beit Lahia. I'm sure I butchered that. Their wives and female siblings and children were reportedly sent to march south, where Israel is bombing. They've just stripped all of these Palestinians. And they're going to interrogate them to find out if they're Hamas. So, this is what they are doing. Just loading up a whole lot of Palestinians. This poor man's eyes tell it all. Yeah. Look at their face. How can you not have a visceral, empathic response? This is unbelievable. And this is unbelievable. All right, so, yeah, back to the migrant situation.
Just a look there at all the trash on the ground here. While this group is a bit smaller than the ones I've seen over the past few weeks, all of this garbage on the ground, really just a reminder of how many people have come through this remote area of the Arizona border. And also a reminder, this is a public park. This is the Oregon Pipe Cactus National Monument. It is open to the public still, even with this going on, but all of this trash certainly not great for the ecosystem over here. And you can see, Look, all the trash down on the wall, and it's even blowing into the Mexican side as well. It's going to take a huge effort to clean this up eventually.
Well, we'll see if that happens. It's not about allowing evil. It's not about allowing evil. It's about waiting on the people to turn away from the world. If you are Christian, then you would know this. It's about waiting for people to turn away from the world. Oh, okay. So Jesus is not coming. Jesus, I guess, is waiting for people to turn away from the world? What does that mean? Turn away from the world. What does it mean? What does it mean? I've asked that question several times throughout the years. What does it mean? Yeah, I will comment something to chew on. I will. Absolutely. Because, as far as I'm concerned, the Jesus should be in your heart and mind, and you should be operating as a force of good, the soldiers fighting the evil, not waiting for Jesus to come and make life grand again. I frankly think that people who have that belief it's a great betrayal of Jesus. Great betrayal. Children. Schools being targeted. And clear evidence of an unsuccessful thing. Look at this. Age standardized excess. Look at this. Starting in 2020. Going through 2023. Wow. Thousands of Yemenis marched to the border with Saudi Arabia and asked Saudi Arabia to open a passage to attack Israel. Okie dokie. Well, Israel targeting medical crews, journalists, frankly, anybody that, might be of help in bringing Gaza back. And reports indicate that this is one of those that the IDF stripped and have taken away, and he's a journalist. New Arabs Bureau chief among those kidnapped. And they have kidnapped an awful lot.
All the journalists that they're killing, targeting, who else can get away with this? Who else can do this with impunity? They're killing the truth. And that even came out, I think in a Politico article, it said Biden and his cohorts were scared. that journalists were going to get in and show the complete devastation and ruin in Gaza during the truce, and that might shape American minds, Brian. That's what they're scared of. They're scared of Americans turning against this colonial genocidal project because they don't want us to see the truth. That's why they're systematically taking out the journalists. They want everyone to die. They don't want any semblance of civic society left. That's why they're taking out all the best and brightest in Gaza, all the staff of the hospitals. I just saw a video today of NICU babies that were left to die from Israeli soldiers that were invading the hospital. Who does that? Who, with any shred of humanity, can see babies laying helpless and leave them to die? That is what's going on. And they don't want us to see this. And that's why the disgusting appendages of U.S. empire, these so-called journalists that are essentially just stenographers for the Israeli media, can just go up there and just repeat lies. How dare they call themselves journalists? How dare they? How could you be a journalist and not, with every fiber of your being, speak out against this country, this government that is taking out your colleagues? How could they do that?
Apparently they do it with great ease. They get a paycheck and they do it. Wow. Well. The West Bank. You don't want to be Palestinian there, boy. Because this war, asymmetric war, has really unleashed a lot of those settlers to go after Palestinians. And here in Lukeville, Arizona, the Department of Homeland Security contract crew welded horizontal reinforcements along the wall since it's being cut on a daily basis by the cartel to come on through. Why bother at this point? And an anti-cartel group is out in Lukeville, Arizona. Spoke with them a bit. This is Allie, or no, just Jeff from Cali. Spoke with them a bit while they were at the port of entry this morning. They gather intel, work with some high-level peeps, and are not a militia. That's all I'm saying. They remembered me from when I was the videographer, news editor for WBTW, when we built the first ever private border wall in Sunland Park in New Mexico. I think they need an awful lot more joining their crew. Well, we'll end with this.
Did you just Israel my phone?
God gave it to me.
It's my phone.
God gave it to me. God gave it to me.
Yeah.
Oh my God, America! She's got a knife! Ove! Help! Terrorist! Anti-Semite! I was in the shop getting my bagels, just using my phone, and this Palestinian terrorist, 3 times my size, wielding a knife, came out of nowhere, broke my arm, tried to take the phone that God gave to me.
Allah Akbar! Allah Akbar!
I heard someone else in a video today talk about how grateful he was, and I'm using my words, that Jews and Israelis are speaking out about what's going on because it gives, well, I'm using my own words that I've said about my own self, that now it's not going to stop. More and more people are going to be speaking up about this. How about you? You guys. You know, it's the evil that we are experiencing now is so right smack in your face. Well, every one of us has a choice to make every single day what we're going to do about this world. For sure, I hope that everyone is doing the work necessary to get them to live honestly and speak honestly. That's the way that you can manifest a healthy, good world. That, you know, and it's up to all of us to create that world. So, bring your best self every single day to life. Be very safe out there. Have your situational awareness going. More importantly, your self-awareness. That you're aware of what you say and how you behave out and about. So, thank you for showing up. Hope to see you tomorrow, and good night and good luck. Ciao, guys.